two last things I want to touch on before we wrap this up. The first is about data, and I think that there's been a tsunami of data, and I think a lot of clients are overwhelmed by what data should I be partnering with, what data should I be leveraging, and I think we're moving away from quantity of data to quality of data. And I think I read somewhere that only 10% of all the data that's available is actually usable, valuable data that's out there. And you talked about
as high as 10%.
What's that?
I'm surprised it's as high as 10%.
10%. But I think talking about deterministic, authenticated data, getting down to if you're going to give a packet of Oreos for an email address, you're getting into that authenticated data, that deterministic data set, and that's I think where we need to go. And we've been partnering with AOL and a little bit of a peek under the hood in terms of what that data starts to look like with the Verizon. You have a very clear point of view on this, Dan.
Yeah, I think moving from a probabilistic world to deterministic world, you see the immediate benefits. You see the impact on media efficiency, return on investment. So with the Verizon assets, there is a huge pool of deterministic data, 70 million consumer accounts in the mobile space, over 5 million accounts in the television space. And prior to that, AOL had over 100 million cross-device matches. So now we are enriching that, and our people and device graph is now growing not only in scale, but in the fidelity of that data has increased exponentially. And what I mentioned before is it's not just for using in our platforms on our own media, it's now helping large producers of media, programmers, to increase the value there. So a marketer comes to us, agency comes to us and says, how can I enrich the data assets I already have? That's where I think, again, that value proposition for media company, data owner, agency, media seller, and marketer starts to, there's a lot of shared commitment to that and a lot of shared value that's extracted from it.
So last area to talk about here, which is there's certainly a lot of passion in this space, and I think we have a relatively like-minded panel here, but as you said, Linda, there are people that are out there that have a very, very different point of view. If we want to progress down the road that we've been talking about with an open approach to data and technology, and it's going to require, the demand from marketers and agencies to enable that to happen, what do we as an industry need to do that we're not doing today in order to enable that to happen?
It's always the client's fault, by the way. Oh, no, sorry. Go ahead.
I really think that we've got to decide together that we're going to be brave and just stop this is the way we always did it. I mean, we just got out of our, upfront market season where while I'm happy that out of the, $6-7 billion that we'll do, about $1 billion of that will be traded on non-Nielsen guarantees, or I would call real true business outcomes. But the lion's share of our business is still guaranteed or transacted on an estimate of a number of a person that you might know their age and their sex, and you got to wait 3 weeks for the number that only counts off one screen.
And they have the opportunity to see.
Yeah, I don't understand that. On the flip side of that, television people are getting a lot of pressure to move to this open ecosystem, and we're all in, but then we're also challenged with on the other side of the transom, the digital community that counts 2 or 3 seconds. Maybe the audio's on, maybe the audio's off, you're scrolling through your screen, did you see it? And a potential view is a viewer. There's so much misinformation that is creating a narrative that is, quite frankly, this is what we talk about in my team, so disrespectful to the consumer that we've got to get brave and just say, we're going to do it and we're going to try it together and we'll land at a better place, because where we are right now is not acceptable.
But that brings me back to kind of the first point, which is right now there's no client counsel that's sitting around that's putting pressure on the rating system. I mean, we're losing money as well. Ratings are down 50%. I still pay. You're not lowering your prices that much.
You're right. I'm not.
Enough though.
At the same time, I know that that's not a true number. I know that that's not a true number. I know that people are watching. You guys create the greatest content on the planet. I know that, but we have no currency to buy, and that's my point. Is that clients have not put enough pressure on the ecosystem. It's horrendous. I've never seen anything like it. But on the flip side, you have the digital guys that are definitely, putting pressure on you guys, but at the same time are not normalizing, across. Go ahead. Sorry, man.
I mean, it's like I said before, it's everybody's responsibility. It's
I just think clients.
No, everybody. I'm a client. I mean, I sit in meetings I sit in WFA meetings and ANA meetings, and we all sit there and say, on some degree, we feel like we're the only ones who are paying the freight because we're the ones who are spending the money. On the other hand, we're all responsible, and I said it before. It says everybody's got to, what are the agencies doing about it? What are the media owners doing about it? What are the clients doing about it? What are the research companies doing about it? And I'm sounding all pedantic. I mean, I don't have a solution today, but I mean, we definitely have to get more aggressive about how to get together.
So
But we're not even trying.
No, you're right.
That's-
No,
Well,
but
I
no
think
one's
not-
but no
so,
one's trying.
so this panel, if we were to set up an industry council or correlation, are you guys in?
Do it.
Count us in.
Done.
We're in.
Fantastic. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. Thank you so much to
Thank
the panel.
you. Thank
Very
you for
exciting,
having
a
us.
lively discussion. Questions in the audience?
Hi, Michael Zimbalist from Simul Media. So, great panel. And I don't even know where to begin. In fact, it was such a good panel, and I have so many questions. But I do sort of feel, so yes, it is an industry-wide responsibility, but you guys, Ben and Bon, and you have the money, you drive the industry with the fact that you spend. And when I think about sort of the requirement to really change the currency, kind of blow up the system or evolve it, it's going to start with you guys. And so the missing seat on this panel, as I think about that, is the CFO. So when you go inside your companies and you say, we're going to buy it differently, we're going to measure it based on outcomes and not the inputs, like how is that conversation going? Can you give us a little color about what you think your organization is ready to tolerate in terms of buying on a different currency?
I mean, we would love to have conversations, and we've talked to people. I mean, we'd love to have conversations about performance, whether that's cost per driving brand health, or whether it's cost per sign-ups to our programs and things like that. We'd love to have that conversation. To be honest, I'm not sounding like I'm blaming the research community. Without a tool in place to be able to have a concrete measurement, Linda and Dan are going to be a little bit reluctant to sit there and say, sure, and I've had conversations this week about pay for performance. It sounds great. We'd love to do it. Without a data set, you guys are not going to take that risk.
And Ben, it's not just the data set. It's not a Nielsen competitor. It's, you guys are doing attribution modeling. I mean, if you really are trying to get down to a business outcome, you need to look at, the effect, but, that effect within a broader ecosystem of different things.
So
It's
a combination of data sets. So there are some tools out there available, but again, they're individual to different media companies. And I also think the analysis of that data is leading quite a shift, or at least involving much more qualitative measures than in addition to just the quantitative measures on that granular level, because you need the scale, you need that top of the funnel. Yes, when I'm ready to buy an Oreo or I'm ready to swipe my card, that's really important. But if you don't get that big scale at the top, so you got to do both, and that's where I think the most progress needs to be made.
I was just going to say, I think it goes back, I think your point. So does the CFO want to have that discussion? Yes. I think to Ben's point, without a data set, it's very hard to have that discussion. And again, I think you hit it on the head, which is, yes, I believe it's the community that's responsible for moving this forward. But at the end of the day, we write the checks. We move the, if we say do X, Y, and Z, it'll happen. And I just don't think enough clients have put pressure on that. And to be perfectly honest with you, the client has had a ton of pressure to move the business to digital, and we can move to digital all we want, but then you have the whole creative side of the world, which, okay, are they ready for it? So the media buyer now is a really interesting kind of change agent in an organization, and we actually spend the lion's share of marketing dollars. So it's interesting to see that happen, but at the end of the day, I think the clients have to move the industry forward, or it won't move, to be honest with you.
Fantastic.